Empty warehouses, closed laptops, cocktails sipped on sunny beaches and quiet nights at home with the family. This is not usually what comes to mind when you imagine the fast-paced world of the Formula One World Championship, but as per FIA Sporting Regulation Articles 24 and 25, this is exactly what the world of Formula One will be for the next 14 days, or technically, the next 14 consecutive days within the 4-week gap between the Belgian and the Dutch Grand Prix. That's right, no work at all can be done by designers, mechanics, engineers or drivers within this 14-day window. As with everything in Formula One, even the timing of when these 14 days are taken can vary strategically between teams. Do you leave 1 week of work on either side, take it instantly after Belgium and then have 2 weeks lead time into Zandvoort, or, and probably the least efficient option that Ferrari will inevitably choose, take the 2 weeks as late as possible and then head to the Netherlands with no prior preparation, a hangover and a freshly topped up tan. Inadvisable, but it would certainly keep the staff in Maranello on their toes. Anyway, let's have a look at the full details of the 2023 sporting regulations with all their specific notes and details. No wind tunnels, no CFD, no manufacturing or stress testing, you get the idea, with the only exceptions to this being show cars, heavy repairs or wind tunnel and CFD activity that applies strictly to non-Formula One projects. This article is very interesting, as within these regulations it means that an advantage could be gained here by Ferrari, who currently compete full-time in the World Endurance Championship with their Le Mans winning hypercar team. Similarly for Alpine, who are gunning for re-entry into the top class of the World Endurance Championship in 2024. The summer break regulation does technically forbid any activity in other categories that could be of value to Alpine and Ferrari's Formula One cars. But this is a perfect example of the problems that the FIA find themselves in with the cost cap investigations. How exactly do you define whether R&D in the World Endurance Championship could or could not be valuable for a Formula One team? It's a very, very tricky problem that I don't have the answer to, but you can imagine the physics of race cars, powertrain engineering, has applications all across motorsport no matter what regulations you're working within. These moves by teams to get into categories beyond Formula One were partly fueled by the introduction of the cost cap itself back in 2021, as it enabled teams' huge stock of engineers and designers to use their facilities and knowledge in similarly competitive categories on high-tech racing cars while skirting wind tunnel time limits, simulation software caps, and summer break regulations like we're talking about today. Although, when factoring in Alpine and Ferrari's current performance levels in Formula One, the impact of this loophole seems minimal at best. We've seen the F1 calendar steadily growing year on year, with new tracks in Saudi Arabia, Miami and Las Vegas, a return to Zandvoort, Qatar signing on as a full-time venue and rumours constantly swirling about new African tracks and even more Saudi events being added. It's easy to see that a mandatory mid-season break is much needed for all members of Formula One race teams, as well as the central employees of Formula One itself. I did my best to research exactly when these sporting regulations came in, and as far as I can tell, it was the 2014 rule set that was the first to feature directly worded regulations of this kind, as indicated by the pink text here. This is what you'll see in sporting regulations that indicates new rules being added. You can see even more in this year's 2023 set with regards to qualifying formats and other stuff that they keep adding year on year. There were of course other limits on testing times, curfews at race events and winter breaks introduced before 2014, but the specific mid-season shutdown coincided with the introduction of the hybrid regulations back in 2014. The need for regulations like this is pretty clear, as George Russell stated in a recent interview with The Athletic. We're all so motivated and determined. Everybody in their own right feels like a bit of a warrior and just wants to power through. But I think everyone recognises the impact that a 2-week break has, to totally reset, come back rejuvenated, and also come up with some new ideas. This is something that Mercedes particularly need at the moment, right? One trend that will almost certainly grow in influence in the coming years in Formula One will be a rotation between trackside and factory-based talent, not only to allow more team members to grow their skills through experience in both fields, but also to reduce the impact that perpetual global travel and jet lag have on the bodies and minds of Formula One's busiest team members. Even with this mandatory 2-week break, the idea of travelling to 20 countries per year and heading straight into the world's most competitive sport upon arrival is a daunting challenge for even the most passionate team members. So that was everything you need to know about the purpose, history and contextual necessity of the Formula One mid-season break. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and follow us on all social media to stay up to date with everything from us here at Crash.net across the motorsport world. Thank you for watching and enjoy the break.